Hello friends, welcome to my channel Nihira Techies, and this is our Angular 15 Material UI tutorial. So based on my previous videos, I am going to explain one real-time example with the concept of reactive forms form array using json-server REST API. And also I am going to include the control of autocomplete in the form array. Okay. So now let me go to my application. So in this new terminal, let me create one new component. So the component name is associate. So the concept is very simple. I'm going to have the list of customers. For the customers, I'm going to create the address list. So that means the single customers have more than one address. For handling this address information, we are going to use the form array logic. Okay. Okay, great. The component is created. The next thing is we can include this component in our routing side. Okay, let me save this one and the URL associate. Okay. First, we can define our reactive forms. So in this component, let me have the constructor. And if you are using the reactive forms, you should import the reactive form model. So in our app.model that already we have done. So let me show you. See, this is already imported. Okay. And next in our constructor, we can inject the form builder. Next, we can define our form. So the first field is ID. So the default value is empty. So this is nothing but our customer ID. Then customer name. I'm going to include the limited fields only. So then our address. Okay. So address, as I mentioned, I'm going to use the form array. So the default value is empty array. Okay. So let me save this one. And if you are using the form array, so the main advantage is we can generate the controls dynamically. So next in our HTML side, I'm going to have one form tag. There, let me include this form group. This form group is nothing but our form name and one event. ng submit. And inside the form, I'm going to use this mat card, then mat card content. So inside that, I'm going to have one more form field for loading the existing customer information. I mean the associate information. Okay. And the mat option we can generate dynamically from the service. Okay. So let me save this one and some styles. So that actually we have included in our form design. Let me reuse everything here. And in this mat form field, mat 50. Okay. So we have only one control, and here we can include one mat label also. Associate. Okay, fine. So the next thing is we have to load the data. So as I mentioned, I'm going to use the json-server REST API. So already I have the configuration. So we can use this db.json file. Here we can include one more item, associate. Okay. it is having the limited fields only. ID1, Ravi, then address. So here the address is empty array. Okay. So let me include two more records. Okay, our API is ready and this is our endpoint. So let me copy this one. Okay, it is working. So the next step is in our service side, we can reuse the master service. Here I'm going to create one new function, get associate. This.http get and our URL. That's it. Okay. And the similar way, let me create one more function, get associate by code. Okay. So we can save this one. Next, let me move on the component once again. So in this component, I'm going to implement the hook on init. So next, I'm going to create one more function, load associate. And one declaration, associate list. And here we can call the services. Okay, our service also not yet injected. So let me inject first. Service is master service. So here this dot service get associate. Okay. So let me subscribe this one. So this dot associate list equal to the item. So we can format this one. And in our HTML side, we can bind the same data. For that, I'm going to use this ng for item.name and the value equal to item.id. Okay, see now here we have populated the associate information. So the next thing is we have to create the address for the individual associate. Okay, so the concept is very simple. So if I'm selecting one associate, if I'm already having some address, I have to populate it here. Otherwise, I'm going to include one more button here. So when I'm clicking the new button, I have to create the dynamic controls for adding the new addresses. Okay, so let me do that first. So after this select, let me include one button, add address. color primary, and here one event, add address. So we can save this one, and let me define the function also. And here let me include one div tag. So in this div tag I'm going to include this form array name. So here the form array name is just address. So let me see the output now. Okay, let me move this button somewhere. Maybe we can include after the form field, that is fine. Okay, this is more than enough. And next in our TS side, let me declare two items. Address array. So this is the form array variable, okay? And the data type is any. And let me copy this one. In our add address function, so this dot address array equal to this dot my form dot get. So basically I'm trying to access this address. Okay, that's it, as form array. So here I'm going to generate one more function, create address row. So this is basically on form group only. So return this dot builder group. So in this address I'm going to have three fields. The first one is line 1. Okay, and the next one is country. So instead of the line 1 we can have as the title. And finally full address. So we can provide one text area control for this one. Okay, so let me save this one, and finally we can push this into our array. So let me save this one, and also I'm going to create one getter method. So we have covered most of the items. Next, let me move on the HTML side. Here I'm going to bind the dynamic controls. Okay, so we can generate one for loop, ng for let item of dot controls, and also we can get the index. Then finally the form group name is dynamic one. Nothing but on our index only. Okay, so inside the div I'm going to have one more mat card, then mat card content, and one h1 tag, for identifying the row number. Okay, so the value I comes as the 0 1 2 3 like that, so let me give the +1. And here we can include the form fields. So let me copy it from here, and instead of the match select I'm going to have this input control. So the first control is title. For the second control, actually I'm going to use the autocomplete. So initially, let me provide the country input box only. So later we can move this into autocomplete, okay? And the next one is text area. And here we have to include the form control name. So first we can include the select control. It's a direct one. Just ID. The same way we can include for this title. So let me check in the form array also. Yeah, I have given us the title only, then country, then final one is the full address. And in this button tag, let me change this into anchor. Now if I'm trying to click this add button, see I'm getting the error, cannot find the control with the name of 0. So let me check this one. Yeah, so actually I have defined this is a form array. So then I have to move this content in the next line. So we can save this one. I'm going to click the add address once again. See, the new section is created. So we can mark this title as the complete line. And also let me include one class. See the output now. So if I'm trying to click this one, the one row is added. See if I'm clicking once again, see the second row is added. Okay, so that means we can create n number of controls in the dynamic manner. So next I'm going to include one validation. So if I'm not selected any associate, I won't be able to click this button. Okay, so let me do this one. So this dot my form dot value dot id, the associate not equal to empty. Then only I'm going to allow for add the new address. Otherwise, let me provide one alert. Okay. So let me refresh the screen once again. So if I'm clicking, I'm getting this alert. So once I'm selected, I'm able to include it. Okay. So the next thing is I'm going to load the data in our country field. So as I mentioned, this is the autocomplete field. So let me make the changes for this one. First, in the HTML side, we can include this mat autocomplete. Add the mat option and on identifier. Next, the property mat autocomplete equal to auto. Next, we should have the data. So first in our db.json file, I'm going to include on new tag country. So currently I'm adding some hardcode data. Okay. So next in our service side, we can create one new function. Get country. Okay, this is fine. So anyway, let me create one interface for this one. Okay, because we are going to do the filtering operation. So in this model already we have this customer interface. So after that we can create one more interface, country. So it is having two parameters, two fields, code and name. Okay. So in our service side, we can return like this, but our class name is country. And here also, okay, this is fine. And next in our component side, we can have one more declaration, country list. So next I'm creating one new function, load country. Okay. The service name is get country, and here this is the country list. The same way this function we can call in our ng on it. So let me save this one, and we can copy this country list, and here let me generate the for loop. Item dot name, the value equal to item dot code. So let me verify now. See, all the countries are loaded. So the next thing is we have to apply the filtering option. Okay. So if I'm typing something like this, it's supposed to filter accordingly. So in this input control, I'm going to include this key up event. Auto change, and here I'm just passing the index value. So basically we can get our index from top of that. Okay. Let me define this function also. So here first I am accessing our form array. Next, based on the index, we can get the object. Okay. Object. So this dot, and here we can pass the index as form group. So finally we can get the control. This address object dot get dot country. So this is the form control. Okay, we are able to access our control level. So next let me declare one more variable, filter options, observable of country array. So next in our onChange function, so this dot filter options equal to control dot value changes, that pipe start with empty value, and on map function. For the filter, I have to create one more function, the custom function, list filter. So input type is string, and it is going to return the country array. So here whatever value is coming, finally return this dot country list data filter option. So basically whatever value is coming, we are checking in the name and also our code field. Okay, if there is in match cases, we are just returning it. To add the same function, we can refer it here, and here let me pass this value. If there is no data, then we can pass as the empty. Let me save this one. Again, I'm trying to add one more new address. So if I'm searching, okay, I just changed the function, but in the binding side, I not changed anything. So we can use this filter option, and here we can use the asynchronous pipe. That's it. So let me refresh the screen once again, and adding one more new address. See, initially we don't have any value. If I'm typing India, see it is coming. Okay, first. So now I'm trying to add the second one. So initially the in India only there. So if I'm typing like Australia or England, so I'm able to get the values. Okay. So currently we have completed our autocomplete also. The next thing is we have to get the values from this form array and we need to store in our API. So first let me tell you how to get the data. So already I have defined one save function, right? Yeah, where it is, this one. And here we can include one log, console.log. So this dot myform dot value. So it will return the complete data. And in our HTML side, I already included this function, but at the same time, I have to, include one submit button also. So after this mat content, I'm going to include mat card actions. Okay. So there, let me include one button, save, and the type is submit. And this is the mat raised button, and the color also primary. I am added two address fields, title 1 India. So in this address field, number 1 first street, the same value. Let me replace it here also. So let me go to the console side. Initially we don't have any data. Once I'm submitted, see, I'm able to get for the single associate, the ID is 1. The name actually we are not binding, so that's what I'm getting as the empty value. In this array we have the two set of data. For the first address title 1 and the second one is the title 2. So basically we are able to get all the values. Okay. So the next thing is I'm going to complete this save function. For the save function, first in our service side, we can define one function here. Here the save is nothing but an update function only. Save instead of this get, we can change this into put. And it is having two input. The first one is data as object and the another one is code. Code is the unique field. So here we can pass the data also. Now in our component side, so let me command this one, and here we can call our services, save associate. So the first one is an object. So this dot my form dot value, and the second one is the customer ID, value dot ID. Okay. So again we can subscribe this one. So once the save is completed, we can provide one JavaScript alert. So let me refresh the screen. First we can add for this Ravi, India. So if I'm saved, I'm getting this saved successfully message. Okay. So next, if I'm checked in my db.json, see, for the first user, I have included this address information. So the name field is missing. The reason is I'm passing as the empty data. So anyway, let me hard code the value. Okay. So the next thing what I'm going to do, when I'm selecting this associate, if there is any customer available, I have to load the customers. Okay. So the step is very simple. So the concept is very simple. So we are simply setting values to our form. That's it. Okay. First in our component side. So in this select control, let me include the event is selection change. So let me define this function also. So basically it will return the code. Okay. And next, let me declare one more variable, edit data, and data type is any. And here I am going to call our services, get associate by code. Here we can pass the code. Then let me subscribe it. So once the data is coming, let me include to edit data equal to response. So after that we can set the values. So this dot my form set values of this dot edit data dot id. And final field is address. So let me format this one. And the one more thing, for the dynamic controls, it's not going to create. Okay. So basically we have to create it manually. So what I'm going to do, let me create one for loop here. So inside that I'm going to call this add address. Now let me go to the application once again. I'm just refreshing. See if I'm selecting the Ravi, see the records are loaded. So the same time if I'm choosing Kumar, so basically it is don't have the data but it is not cleared. Okay. So then we have to clear it manually. Okay, here what I'm going to do, this address array. Okay. This while condition, if length not equal to 0, I am just removing. Okay. So let me save this one. See, again I am clicking this Ravi, I am able to get the data. So if I am selecting the Kumar, there is no records. So let me try to include some records. Okay. So I'm going to provide a true address. So let me save this one. Okay, it is saved fine. And again I am trying to choose this Ravi. I have the single record. So if I'm choosing the Kumar, See, the two records are loaded. Again, if I'm trying this Akash, there is no record. Okay, so this is the way it is working. Okay, the concept is very simple. I've just used one of the select control. There I have populated all the associate information. So if I'm selected one of the associate, if they have the address information, it is loaded fine. Okay, so if required, I can include some additional address also. Okay, fine. So it is saved. So the same time, if I'm choosing some other customer, if they have the address, it will populate. Otherwise, it will remove everything. So the next time, if I'm coming like this, see, I am able to see all the records. Okay. And this is the way our farm array is working. The similar way we can include any controls in the dynamic manner. I just included one input control and autocomplete and one text area. The similar way we can include any control. Okay. So now we are in the end of the video. Still, if you have any doubts or clarification, please post in the comment box. And also please don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you. Thanks for watching.